Discover 5 surprising ways to make life beautiful. Transformative lessons on valuing loved ones. Emily's fingers trembled as she slipped out of her scrubs and into the comfort of her worn jeans. Another grueling 12-hour shift had left her hollow. The hospital lights flashed like the sirens in her mind, every beep a reminder of lives on the line. Somehow, amidst caring for countless others, her dreams seemed to have slipped through her fingers. All she felt was a resignation tinged with desperation. The chatter between patients and medications had wrapped around her heart like a vice, squeezing tighter every day. What was left of her once passionate spirit was overshadowed by bills and late-night arguments with Sarah, a tempestuous waltz of teenage rebellion and motherly love that had evolved into a battlefield strewn with unspoken grievances. "Just let me decide for once," Sarah had screamed the last time, her voice echoing in Emily's head as sharp as any scream from the hospital's wards. It was a stark reminder of how fierce the world out there felt to her daughter, a world Emily had once navigated herself. She thought about her parents, their calls laden with disappointment and expectations that loomed like storm clouds. The weight felt unbearable. There was an aching dissonance, a child's longing for freedom, juxtaposed with a mother's yearning to protect, nurture, guide. Emily's heart raced as shadows of self-doubt crept in. Was she doing right by her daughter, or crushing her spirit under the weight of duty? There was no peace to be found in her own mind, only chaos. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As if the act of reading those letters could bring some solace, she had ventured to her grandfather's old ranch, a dilapidated remnant of childhood bliss, where laughter echoed through fields of wildflowers. The smell of aged wood and dust wrapped around her like a fog. What solace could she find here now? It took only moments for the silence to consume her, magnifying the cracks in her heart. Curiosity led her to an old trunk, the rusty latch breaking with minimal effort. Inside lay a world of letters, each penned in elegant script, filled with stories of love and resilience. Emily's fingers brushed against the pages with reverence. Families in turmoil, happiness lost but rediscovered. Each word pulled her back, made her ache for the simplicity of love. Yet as she read, the comfort was stained by her current reality, a life comprised of conflicts and aspirations dashed by responsibilities. Just as her connection with Sarah seemed irrevocably frayed, the recollection of her grandfather's lessons rang deep, reverberating the truth of how dreams did not have to be abandoned for family. But how could she merge the two paths without losing herself? As the wind howled outside, she felt trapped in an emotional whirlwind, teetering on a precipice, desperate for clarity. A deep sense of helplessness engulfed her as another replay of an argument with Sarah flashed before her eyes. In that moment of turmoil, the stakes rose. Could she truly reconcile her identity with maternal duty? And how could she convey this understanding to a daughter so entrenched in her own struggles? What awaited her on the other side of truth? The answers remained frustratingly elusive. All she could do was cling to the letters, the last thread of a connection she yearned to restore, as darkness loomed near. The old trunk, barely holding itself together, became a sanctuary for Emily's thoughts. Lost in its contents, her heart ached with memories ignited by each letter she read. The stories inside were lifelines, threads weaving through the fabric of her existence. Perhaps if she could understand those who came before her, she might find a way to bridge the chasm between her own dreams and the overwhelming responsibilities of being a mother. The letters spoke of resilience, of not shying away when faced with despair. Her grandfather had penned words that danced on the thin line between vulnerability and strength. It struck her that he had faced his own chaos. Serenity did not come from ignorance of hardships, but from engaging with them, navigating them with courage. Could it be that her own approach to Sarah mirrored her past struggles? Had she been so consumed with protecting her daughter from life's storms that she forgot to show her how to weather them? A newfound determination surged within her as she left the trunk behind and stepped into the dim light of the evening. The chill in the air prickled her skin, invigorating her spirit. She paced across the field, searching for the right words to mend the widening gap between her and Sarah. She needed to shed her fear of inadequacy and embrace the lessons her grandfather had unknowingly gifted her. Start with honesty, she whispered to herself, the weight of the words settling comfortably, as if they were some long-lost truth. A revelation pierced through the murky confusion swirling in her mind. What if she opened up to Sarah, allowing her the space to express her resentment and fears? She needed to create a dialogue that went beyond the rehearsed platitudes of what a mother thought was best. She had to honor Sarah's voice, give it a place in their home, just as she sought to rekindle the fire of her own desires. But lingering doubts threatened to eclipse this optimism. Could she truly confront Sarah without igniting another round of conflict? The thought lingered uncomfortably, seeping into the edges of her resolve. Just as she felt bolstered by the possibility of reconnection, anxiety clawed at her insides. What if honesty unraveled everything she hoped to salvage? What if her daughter didn't want her guidance at all? With every step back to the house, Emily wrestled with these reflections. She imagined their next conversation, her heart pounding at the prospect of vulnerability. It was terrifying to think about the rawness of their emotions being laid bare, but that was precisely what felt necessary. She could no longer meet ambition with silence. Her grandfather's letters had taught her to embrace passion, not just hers, but for her daughter's aspirations as well. The stillness of the ranch wrapped around her, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing in her heart. As familiar shadows approached, she felt both an urge to flee and an instinct to stand firm in this new resolve. Tomorrow, they would talk, and in that moment of truth, she would reclaim not just her dreams but the sacred bond she feared was eroding. But before she could form a plan, a rustle broke through the evening quiet. A figure emerged from the gathering dusk, and as it drew nearer, Emily's heart dropped. Was it the surge of hope? Or was something more alarming waiting to unfold? The unknown lay before her like the sprawling field, waiting to be traversed. Emily's breath caught in her throat as the figure stepped closer, revealing itself under the fading light. It was Sarah, her features softened yet sharp with apprehension. The past month of silence had added a layer of tension between them that felt almost tangible, a web of unspoken resentment and longing. "Mom," Sarah said cautiously, her voice barely breaking the stillness. The familiar sound sent a jolt of recognition through Emily. Here was her daughter, wrapped in uncertainty yet still so undeniably herself. Emily felt a pang of guilt for the emotional distance they had drifted into, a chasm of her own making. "Can we talk?" Sarah's words hung in the air, heavy yet inviting. This was the moment. The chance to reverse the trajectory of their relationship was offered on a silver platter, and all Emily had to do was reach for it. The earlier resolve ignited within her as she nodded, gesturing toward the porch. As they settled into the creaky old chairs that had weathered countless conversations over the years, Emily felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on them. Sarah fiddled with the frayed edges of her shorts, the silence amplifying the unsaid thoughts swirling in her mind. Emily took a deep breath, savoring the crisp air that stung her lungs, a sharp reminder that change was upon them. "Sarah," she started, but the words faltered. She envisioned a clear dialogue where each hand-picked sentence would guide them back to each other, but the rough edges of reality slipped over her well-formed intentions. "Why haven't you talked to me?" Sarah interjected, eyes flashing with the heat of untamed emotion. "You just shut me out." Emily flinched at the accusation, but instead of curling up defensively, she leaned into it. "Because I didn't know how to let you in, and I'm scared," she admitted, each word rolling off her tongue like a confession. The truth felt treacherous yet liberating. "Scared of what?" Sarah challenged, her voice tinged with frustration. "Scared of failing you," Emily replied, meeting her daughter's gaze head-on. "I thought if I shielded you from my own struggles, it would make things better." The admission flooded the space between them with a raw honesty that had long been absent. As the weight of her words settled, Emily watched as Sarah's expression shifted. The storm within her began to quiet, and Emily sensed a flicker of understanding tightening the strands of their bond. Their battle of emotions had opened a pathway toward connection, and the din of anger that once defined their relationship started to unravel. "Mom, I don't need you to be perfect," Sarah said softly, leaning closer. "I just need you to be honest." There it was, the call that shaped the course of their relationship. Emily's heart began to race at the realization that honesty was not just about sharing her own fears. It was also about encouraging Sarah to voice hers. This was her chance to empower her daughter, to cultivate resilience rather than dependency. However, Emily felt a tumult of emotions welling within her. What if I'm too honest? What if you won't like what you hear? She wondered more to herself than to Sarah. Was it possible to bare her soul without altering the landscape of their relationship further? The stakes had never felt higher. "Mom, we can't move forward if we don't address the past." Sarah's voice pierced through Emily's internal chaos. In that moment, Emily realized she was standing at the brink of transformation, not just for herself but also for her relationship with Sarah. The horizon lay wide open, filled with uncertainty and promise. Yet as they began to navigate through their tangled feelings, another rustle outside interrupted the moment, echoing the underlying uncertainty. Emily felt an unsettling anticipation in her stomach. What more awaited them in the shadows? And would they both find the courage to confront it together? The silence stretched heavy as Sarah's words lingered in Emily's mind, the weight of unaddressed feelings weighing them both down. Each breath felt laden with potential yet also jagged with anxiety. It was as though they teetered on a tightrope suspended high above the unknown. One misstep could send them tumbling into the depths of unresolved conflict. Summoning her courage, Emily finally broke the stillness. "What do you want to say?" Her voice was steadier than she felt, an anchor in the turbulent sea of emotions swirling around them. "I don't want you to carry everything alone," Sarah began, her tone softer but laced with urgency. "You act like you have to bear it all, and it makes me feel like I don't matter." Each word struck Emily, reverberating through her chest, sparking a mixture of recognition and pain. "Maybe I thought I was protecting you," Emily replied, grappling with the realization of her flawed intentions. "I wanted to shield you from my mistakes, the mess of my life. But that's not protecting me," Sarah countered, her eyes narrowing slightly. "That's pushing me away." In that moment, Emily recognized a profound truth. She had been suffocating her daughter's ability to witness resilience and struggle. Rather than imparting strength, she had inadvertently created a fragile veneer of perfection that left no room for either of them to breathe. As the weight of this realization settled in, Emily reflected on the countless times she had chosen silence over conversation, fear over openness. The false narrative she had spun, a narrative that elevating her own emotional burdens might serve them both, had cracked wide open. "Sarah, I want to change that," Emily said, her voice laced with newfound resolve. "But I need your help. I want to learn how to share my struggles so we can face them together. I don't want to keep you out of my life anymore." A flicker of hope sparked in Sarah's eyes, the realization that their relationship could grow into something grounded in shared honesty. "I think I want that too, Mom. But it's going to be messy." "Messy can be good," Emily whispered, a smile creeping onto her face, tinged with uncertainty but laced with possibility. As they began exploring what that messiness could look like, sharing stories of hardship and triumph, the evening sun descended toward the horizon, casting colors warmer than any felt between them in months. Yet as Emily and Sarah engaged in their cathartic exchange, a shadow flickered at the edge of the porch. Emily's gut churned, a flicker of dread pooling in her stomach. "Did you hear that?" she asked, forcing her attention from her daughter. The moment felt shattered, the warmth replaced by the cold sting of unease. "What was it?" Sarah asked, her head snapping toward the sound. "I don't know." As Emily searched the darkness creeping upon them, she realized that whatever shadow lurked outside might very well embody the unresolved fears they'd just begun to confront. Were there ghosts from their past waiting to confront them? As the air thickened with tension, Emily's mind raced. Would they add to their newfound honesty? Or would this unwelcome intrusion disrupt their tentative progress? Would the very act of addressing their feelings embolden them to face whatever lay outside? Or would it unravel everything they'd worked toward? Emily tightened her grip on the chair, torn between the urge to shield Sarah and the desire to step into that darkness together. The uncertainty loomed large, and with the shadows dancing near, she questioned if they'd have the strength to confront this challenge as a united front. Yet deep down, she felt a growing conviction. Now was the time to emerge from the shadows not just of the outside world, but from their own unspoken struggles. The moment felt charged, the stakes rising anew, as the unknown awaited their decision. Would they lean into this together, or retreat into silence once more? Emily's heart raced with anticipation, a mixture of anxiety and resolve stirring within her as she strained to catch any movement outside. The darkening porch seemed to pulse with unresolved tension, the heart of her fear whispered fears only she dared to acknowledge. Did they have a choice to make? Face the darkness or retreat into the safety of silence, breaking the fragile bond they'd just begun to strengthen? "Mom?" Sarah's voice broke through the haze. "What do you think it is?" The question hung unanswered, but Emily's thoughts raced in spirals, circling back to her recent commitment to change. Was she truly prepared to embrace the vulnerability required to face their fears? The very act of keeping Sarah at bay had prevented a more honest life not just for her daughter but for herself as well. "I think it's time," she said finally, her voice steadier than she felt. "We can't keep letting what lurks out there dictate who we are in here." Sarah nodded, her expression uncertain yet curious. This was new territory for both of them. The darkness outside no longer felt like a threat, but a symbol of their internal struggles, the shadows of their past that had haunted them for far too long. Drawing a breath, Emily rose from the chair, her resolve stiffening. "Let us find out together." As they both stood, they stepped away from the light of the porch and into the darkness, where the sounds grew sharper, the rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl. Emily could feel her pulse in her ears, the adrenaline surging as she set her sights on the edge of the yard, where the darkness tangled with the light. "Maybe it's just a raccoon or something. It doesn't have to be anything scary," she said, trying to tighten the tension into a more palatable form, aware that her own doubts were creeping in through her bravado. "Yeah, or maybe it's just us," Sarah suggested with a mix of fear and audacity, a timid laugh escaping her lips. It broke the solemn air, and both found themselves glancing at each other, seeking solace in the shared struggle. The decision to step into the unknown both literally and metaphorically felt monumental. For so long, Emily had operated under the constraints of her own fears, allowing them to shape her reality and the life she shared with Sarah. But this time, standing side by side, the act of facing whatever lurked outside was a crucial step into a new chapter. They moved forward together, arm in arm, grounded by the unfolding bond of trust. Each step felt heavy with significance, a physical manifestation of their commitment to dismantle the barriers they had built. As they drew closer to the source of the sound, a faint glimmer of light caught Emily's eye just beyond the trees. It flickered erratically, almost beckoning. A ghost of a memory stirred within her, a recollection of childhood adventures in the woods, the spark of wonder now mingling with caution. Her instinct flared, a mixture of trepidation and curiosity swirling in her gut. They were at a precipice, not just of the physical plunge into the shadows but also into their own tangled histories, wounds wrapped tightly in layers of unspoken words. It was time to confront them, but would they emerge transformed, or would they unravel further? Emily hesitated for a brief moment, uncertainty intertwining with her resolve. "Whatever it is, let us face it together," she affirmed, meeting Sarah's gaze with a fierce determination that told both of them that they were ready to reclaim their story from the shadows. As they moved closer to the flickering light, Emily couldn't shake the sense that her deepest fears lay at the heart of this unexpected journey, fears that could become either the weight that dragged them backward or the insight that propelled them forward. Whatever awaited them in the dark, Emily knew one thing. This wasn't just about confronting external fears, but the feelings left unspoken between them. The whispering shadows of the past beckoned a reckoning awaited that could either bond them in unity or threaten to break the fragile thread of honesty they had begun to weave. Would they emerge stronger together, learning to navigate the shadows? Or was this the moment everything would unravel again? In that kaleidoscope of uncertainty, Emily felt the weight of both promise and peril, knowing that what lay ahead could change them both forever. The flickering glow ahead seemed to pulse with an energy that drew Emily and Sarah closer, a beacon in the thickening shadows. Each step toward that light felt laden with the weight of the past, memories surfacing like ghosts, ready to spill their secrets. Emily's heart hammered against her ribs, a carnal reminder of everything they faced. As they moved toward the source of the light, vivid snippets of her childhood danced through her mind. She remembered the nights spent under a blanket of stars, the comfort of laughter, and the thrill of uncharted territory. Yet, the nostalgia faded quickly, replaced by the reality of her adult life, filled with shadows that lurked in places unvisited. She reflected on how she let fear dominate, how it had created walls that limited both her and Sarah. "Mom, what do you think it is really?" Sarah's voice interrupted Emily's thoughts, bringing her back to the moment, grounding her in the present. Emily glanced down at her daughter, sensing the same apprehensive spark lying just beneath Sarah's fearless facade. "I don't know," she admitted, her honesty allowing the tension to breathe. "But whatever it is, we're going to figure it out together." The promise reverberated between them, a vow cloaked in faith and the mutual commitment to understanding each other's fears. It wasn't just about confronting the unknown outside. It was about peeling back the layers of their relationship, laying bare their truths and fears. Could honesty forge their bond stronger than before? Few steps later, they reached the trees. The light revealed itself to be a small lantern, its soft glow illuminating an old, overturned table littered with scattered toys from a bygone era. Emily's heart sank as she recognized the remnants of adventure a childhood fort, an echo of laughter and play, now buried beneath the weight of neglect. Why would someone leave this here? Sarah wondered aloud, her voice laced with curiosity and a hint of disappointment, as if the discovery had stirred emotions of both joy and melancholy. "Maybe to remind us of who we were," Emily replied, feeling the sting of unresolved nostalgia. "Or who we've forgotten to be." Each word built a bridge, inviting their journey into topics previously untouchable. They had been skirting around emotions for so long. Perhaps now was the moment to confront them head-on. The lantern flickered again, and Emily could see the reflections of the past in Sarah's eyes, the untainted joy of innocence, mixed with confusion and a fear of what lay ahead. Emily realized that the path to reclaiming their narrative began with acknowledging the weight of their silence. "It's time we talk about everything," Emily whispered, her voice trembling with the significance of that statement. "Things we never let ourselves discuss." But what if Sarah began, fear creeping into her tone? Yet Emily could sense an underlying eagerness to engage. "Whatever it is, we'll face it," Emily reaffirmed. "Every small moment we've ever hidden beneath the surface. Every worry, every joy, every heartache, we will dig them out." As her words settled in the air, a sudden wind whipped through the clearing, sending leaves swirling around them. In that moment, the feeling was undeniable. It was as if the wind carried with it the remnants of their shared struggles, urging them to confront their fears instead of avoid them. Emily could feel the depths of their connection deepening, but this was merely the beginning. With every challenge they confronted, new fears would emerge. She sensed this process of honesty could reveal painful truths but also hidden strengths. Both could become empowered by the vulnerability of the conversation that lay ahead. Yet as they stood among the remnants of laughter, Emily couldn't shake the nervous anticipation of navigating those uncharted waters. Would they truly find solace in the confrontation? The answer glimmered like the lantern, promising light but threatening to spill heat. Turning toward Sarah, whose expression mirrored both apprehension and hope, Emily took a deep breath. "Let us dive deep together." The determination in her voice was unwavering. Whatever shadow haunted their past would have to be faced, illuminating the path to a new dawn. But just as the courage began to swell, the air thickened once more with uncertainty. In the distance, a sound echoed unclear and ominous. The external threat, it seemed, refused to let them forget the world beyond their conversation. And as they turned to face whatever awaited them, Emily realized this was yet another threshold, a moment where they must not only explore the shadows between them, but contend with the realities outside as well. Would they emerge from this ordeal with their bond fortified? Or would the journey's revelations create a divide too deep to bridge? The unsettling sound lingered in the air, slithering around Emily and Sarah like a wisp of smoke. Sarah's grip tightened on her mother's hand as they exchanged a fleeting glance, a shared understanding passing silently between them. Each heartbeat echoed with anticipation, punctuating the stillness that enveloped their clearing. Uncertainty danced on the edges of Emily's mind. The looming shadow of fear confronted their shared moment of potential bonding. "Stay close," Emily whispered, her voice steadier than she felt, a fragile facade she constructed for her daughter's comfort. She could almost taste the tension, sour and electric, as she moved forward, carefully assessing the noises bouncing through the trees. There it was again, a rustle, louder, closer. With each soft crunch beneath their feet, Emily felt hints of her previous self unraveling. Hadn't she spent a decade circumspect and cautious, hiding from the messiness of the emotional landscape below? Today, they would not numb out of concern for the unknown. They would confront it, navigate the uncertainty with courage. "Do you think we should go back?" Sarah's question broke through the haze of conflicting thoughts, her eyes wide with concern. Emily hesitated. Returning was the easier path, the one tainted with familiarity. It meant safety, but at a price. Staying meant they brought forth the past and faced it. "I think," she paused, knowing this was a pivotal moment, "this is the chance we need. The world won't always be sympathetic to us, Sarah. We owe it to ourselves to be brave." With a nod, Sarah's resolve strengthened. In that instant, Emily marveled at her daughter's inner courage, a quality she hadn't fully recognized until now. It underlined a crucial realization. Vulnerability and bravery were intertwined. As they pressed deeper into the underbrush, the source of the noise drew closer. Emily's heart raced as shadows morphed and twisted in the flickering lantern light. Suddenly, a large figure emerged from the darkness, the silhouette of a deer. Its serene presence contrasted sharply with their charged emotions. A moment of peace washed over Emily. Life simmered beneath layers of chaos, urging them to find serenity amid turmoil. "Look, Mom," Sarah chimed, her voice filled with awe. "It's beautiful." The deer stood still, a profound reminder of life's resilience. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The moment felt monumental. If nature could exist so freely, despite the fears lurking in darkness, wouldn't they have a right to embrace their emotional honesty too? A powerful wave of realization surged through Emily, empowering her. They were not simply facing fear. They were reclaiming their narrative. As the deer quietly retreated, Emily felt an unfamiliar determination blooming inside her. She cherished being an integral part of this experience, a catalyst for deeper reflection and courageous dialogue between them. "Maybe we can find our own beauty too, like that deer. Maybe this is our chance," she spoke softly, reveling in the transformative nature of that moment. A part of her hoped this journey would blossom into a deeper relationship, one built on shared experiences and unfiltered honesty. Sarah nodded, her earlier trepidation giving way to curiosity. "Do you think we can make it like before, Mom?" "Better, even," Emily replied, a sense of hope threading through her veins. "By learning from what we've hidden away, we can create something new together." But just as the thought blossomed, another rustle shot through the clearing. This sound, sharper and more menacing, caught them both off guard. The underbrush trembled as whatever lingered in the shadows came forth. Emily's stomach twisted, the fragile light of their hope now overshadowed by the impending confrontation. "Stay behind me," she commanded, her voice laced with an unexpected steadiness. This time it wasn't just about them diving into feelings. It was about standing resolutely against the unknown. As they braced for the reveal, Emily's thoughts swirled. Was this a chance to not only protect her daughter but also to face whatever darkness threatened their progress. The time had come to face more than their past. They would confront an uncertainty that was entirely present. But once again, the weight of the moment bore down the question of whether their bravery would fortify their bond or drive them apart loomed larger than ever. The lantern flickered violently, leaving Emily to wonder what awaited them both, as she vowed to fight not just for their safety, but for their future together. Would they rise to the challenge or risk falling back into the shadows? The tension in the air thickened as the underbrush quivered once more, an ominous indication of the unknown lurking nearby. Emily's grip on the lantern tightened, each flicker illuminating not just their immediate surroundings, but also casting shadows on the fears she had harbored within. The reality of the situation reminded her that challenges could emerge unexpectedly, and how she reacted to them would define not just the course of this excursion, but the trajectory of her relationship with Sarah. As the creature finally stepped into view, Emily's initial defensive posture softened. It wasn't a predator but a curious raccoon, its eyes glowing with mischief and curiosity. Relief washed over her. Yet, beneath that relief lay a mounting realization. The anxiety triggered by the unknown does not vanish just because the immediate threat subsides. Instead, it had birthed an opportunity for growth, a chance to reframe how she approached fear, uncertainty, and bonding with her daughter. "See?" she said, confidence returning to her voice. "Not everything in the dark is something to fear." Sarah's eyes sparkled, and in that shared moment of laughter and lightness, a profound lesson began to emerge, threading itself into Emily's understanding of motherhood and personal courage. Challenge and uncertainty had the power to foster connection if approached intentionally. This realization ignited something deeper within her. Perhaps facing the dark shadows of her past wasn't just about confrontation. It was also about cultivating a resilience that would allow her and Sarah to navigate the complexities of their relationship together. As they resumed their walk, Emily's mind swirled with possibilities for the future. She envisioned creating a ritual of sorts, regular adventures that encouraged openness, vulnerability, and excitement, illuminating dark corners of their lives together. Nature became their mirror, reflecting resilience and possibility. Each step forward felt like reclaiming a part of her that had been overshadowed for too long. "Mom, can we do this more often?" Sarah asked, her enthusiasm contagious. "Absolutely," Emily replied, her heart swelling with affection. "I think we both need this. It's important to explore, not just out here but in our feelings too. Let us embrace whatever comes our way." The declaration transformed the air around them. It felt lighter, and suddenly the quiet forest wasn't just a setting for fear and uncertainty. It was a canvas for new beginnings, freshly painted with colors of hope and healing. But as they ventured deeper into the woods, a fresh uncertainty crept in. The path darkened, the trees loomed higher, and Emily caught sight of a peculiar symbol carved into a nearby trunk, a sign she had seen in old family photos from a time when her own mother would tell tales of protecting their legacy. And it sparked an unsettling memory. Why was it here? Was this merely a coincidence or a message from her past that she long neglected? A wave of unease washed over her, mingling with the exhilaration of her revelations from just moments ago. Would history repeat itself, or would she break free from the patterns that had shaped her? Emily's thoughts raced, juxtaposing her newfound commitment to connection with the persistent shadows of doubt. "Mom?" Sarah's voice snapped her back to the present. "What's wrong?" Emily focused on her daughter's eyes, wide and trusting. A part of her wanted to shield Sarah from the worries creeping in, but another part, a growing, resolute voice, urged her to embrace transparency. "Nothing you need to worry about, honey. Just some memories." "I want to hear about them," Sarah insisted. This time, there was no avoiding the truth. The conversation they needed to have loomed larger than the darkness around them. In that moment, as the lantern's glow flickered against the trees, Emily understood. They had ventured far beyond merely surviving a moment of fear. They were poised on the cusp of transforming their relationship, a leap into honest, shared emotional territory. "Okay," she began, voice steady, but laced with a tremor of vulnerability. "Let us talk. I think it's time we both discover more than we fear." As the first words fell from her lips, A murmur of rustling leaves interrupted them once more, threatening to pull them back into uncertainty. What awaited them now? And would their resolve to embrace their shared journey withstand the revelations that lay ahead? As the night deepened, the forest took on an otherworldly quality, the trees standing as silent sentinels to Emily's unfolding truth. She took a breath, steadying the tremor in her chest, aware that each moment held the potential for connection or an uncomfortable fracture. The lantern's glow flickered, casting shadows that danced playfully on the ground, but the weight of the discussion ahead pressed heavily against her heart. "Mom." Sarah's voice broke through the tension. "What kind of memories?" Emily's mind raced, memories crashing like waves, each laced with the pain of past choices and cherished moments now tainted by regret. She remembered family gatherings filled with laughter, but also arguments that silenced the room. The way grief had crept in when her own mother's past felt too intertwined with her own. Would sharing this dark thread with Sarah bring them closer, or would it burden her child? She glanced at Sarah, her bright eyes filled with an innocent curiosity, unaware of the complexities her mother wrestled with. This was the gift of motherhood, to share not only strength but vulnerability. "It's about my childhood. There were things that happened, stories I kept to myself because I thought they were too heavy." "Like what?" Sarah prompted, that eagerness illuminating her face, unraveling Emily's tightly wound thoughts. "Stories about my mom," she admitted, hearing the tremor of her voice. "About the choices she made, some that scared me." The weight of her honesty swirled around them, mingling with the cool night air. Sarah's eyes widened, a mix of intrigue and concern swirling within them. "You've told me stories before, but I didn't know there were hard parts." Emily felt a pulse of fear surging in her, coupled with a fierce determination to navigate this path gracefully. Sometimes we think we have to hide the hard stuff to protect those we love, but in truth it can help us grow stronger together. As she spoke, the notion crystallized. Every moment spent navigating the complexities of her mother's legacy was forcing Emily to confront not only old pain but also the strengths she had developed. They were as much hers as they were Sarah's. This realization sparked something within her, a rebellious defiance against the silent burdens of her past. "Do you want to hear about the letters?" she blurted out, surprising herself as the words slipped free. The letters were fragments of her mother's story, hidden away in a box, forgotten yet pulsing with unresolved emotions. She had vowed never to open them. To do so meant confronting her mother's choices in full. "Letters?" Sarah echoed, eyes gleaming with intrigue. Emily's heart raced. It wasn't just about the letters. It was the chance to share her journey, her voice rising from the shadows of doubt. Letters she wrote to herself, about dreams she had, but also fears she couldn't face. "They meant a lot to me, and I think they might to you too. What do they say?" Sarah leaned in closer, the innocent excitement contrasting sharply to the depth of Emily's internal struggle. That question struck a chord. The letters contained secrets, truths that could either pull them closer together or unravel their connection. But wasn't that also the essence of growth, the willingness to embrace discomfort for the promise of deeper understanding? "Let us find them together," Emily proposed, a surge of determination flooding her. "They're in my old trunk. I'll share everything. The good, the bad. Everything." The path before them seemed less daunting now, illuminated by the clarity born from connection. Together they would confront the weight of history head-on. Yet, as they walked toward the potential of this pact, the shadows around them whispered with uncertainty. What would they find in those letters? In opening this door, could history change? Or might it echo too loudly, threatening everything they were building? And as they approached the clearing where forgotten memories awaited, Emily grappled with the weight of her decision. Would she be able to navigate the revelations ahead, balancing her desire for transparency with the need to protect her daughter's innocence? The lantern flickered ominously, underlining the uncertainty of their journey as they stepped deeper into the unknown. In that brief moment, despite the tendrils of doubt weaving through her mind, a resolute voice whispered this was the risk worth taking, and she would face it, whatever secrets lay ahead. Emily stood at the old trunk, its weathered wood seeming somehow a part of her own history. unofficial talisman of childhood memories. It had been gathering dust as she layered her life with the burdens of motherhood. Today, though, she felt a flicker of empowerment stirring within her, urging her to shed the weight of silence. "Ready?" she asked Sarah, who stood shoulder to shoulder with her, affirming their joint commitment to uncovering whispers of the past. There was a light in her daughter's eyes, a glimmer of resolve that Emily recognized all too well. It was the same spark that had led her through uncharted waters as a teenager, fueled by passion and desire. With a simple tug, Emily opened the trunk, revealing yellowed letters nestled amid forgotten keepsakes. Each missive was a testament to her mother's dreams, fears, and imperfections, nestled like precious relics from a time when honesty was too often sacrificed for the sake of expectation. The moment felt sacred. It was the intersection between the past and the present. As they began to sift through the letters, Emily felt the air between them thicken not with discomfort but rather with an uncharted potential. There had been so much unsaid in their relationship, layers of vulnerability just waiting to be peeled back. The letters represented a chance to forge an understanding, to confront the shadows both had carried for far too long. "Mom, can I read this one?" Sarah asked, her fingers gingerly pulling out a letter penned in her grandmother's looping script, dated well before Emily's own birth. "Of course," Emily responded, watching her daughter's face transform as the words danced in front of her. Each letter tells a part of her story. They're filled with mistakes but also her victories. It's real. As Sarah delved into the letter, Emily took a moment to reflect on the implications of this shared journey. Here they were, stepping into their familial legacy with honesty and openness. Instead of inherited silence, they chose to construct their path out of shared understanding. In that choice lay courage, the kind that fosters connection rather than isolation. "Mom, there's so much here about struggle. She was scared, just like you," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion, "but she still fought for what she wanted. She didn't give up." Emily felt the weight of those words pierce through years of self-doubt. Here was validation not just of her mother's journey but of her own. She had let fear shape her narrative too long and shielded Sarah from showing her fierce heart. Yes, she did. And there were consequences for those fights, too. Mistakes, regrets. "I get it," Sarah said, her eyes locking onto Emily's. A depth of understanding exchanged between them in that moment. But she overcame them. "Maybe that's what matters, Mom." She found a way back. A wave of warmth washed over Emily, wrapped in the undeniable connection forming before her. Their past did not have to cloud their present. It could inform it, shape it, let it blossom. "I want to learn how to do that too," Emily confessed, her heart racing with newfound clarity. "To be authentic, even when the truth is messy. It's not just your journey, Mom. It's ours now," Sarah declared firmly, her certainty grounding Emily. "And I'm ready to step into it, even with the fear of what lies ahead." Emily felt the swell of pride within her but also something more profound: gratitude. Today, they had laid the foundation for a new narrative, woven from transparency sprinkled with adventure. "Let us set some intentions then," Emily suggested, a spark lighting within her. "We can share everything, tackle every insecurity. Not just in moments of crisis, but together as they come. Make them conversations, not battles." "Well," Sarah replied, a touch of mischief dancing across her face, "I'm going to need you to start first, since you're the adult." Emily laughed, relieved. The giggle erupted from her chest, a reminder that struggles could lead to joy, that genuine connection nourished the human spirit. With every letter they unearthed, a shared commitment grew. They grew stronger together. They could face shadows, and they could embrace the light just the same. Change was no longer a daunting prospect. It was the beautiful complexity of life awaiting them. As the last letter rested against the remnants of the trunk, Emily felt a certainty envelop her, like a warm embrace. She had not just honored her past. She had also forged a way forward alongside Sarah. Together, they would navigate fears and uncertainties, creating a legacy filled with honesty and understanding. "Look at us," Emily said, basking in the moment. "From darkness to light, together. We're creating something beautiful here. Sarah met her mother's gaze, a shared acknowledgement flashing between them. Their bond was not defined by perfection, but was crafted through trials and honesty. Emily's heart swelled as she realized she was finally ready to step confidently into the future, embracing all that it had to offer, alongside her daughter. Today was the beginning not just for Emily but also for Sarah. They were setting out to confront every uncertainty with courage and build a relationship rooted in authenticity, laying the groundwork for what was to come. Now, more than ever, Emily felt wholly present and fulfilled, a mother willing to face the storms with her daughter, as her partner, an unbreakable bond forged in shared truths and an adventurous spirit. It was this moment that defined her transformation, this commitment to living authentically that would solidify their legacy, a powerful testament that triumph could emerge even from the shadows. Emily eagerly took Sarah's hand, and together, they exited the clearing into the world beyond. The lantern flickered against the impending dusk, but now, that electric tension transformed into promise. Their future was beckoning brightly. And in this moment, consumed by possibility, misery was left far behind. The victory was theirs to grasp, just as the love they shared would guide them every step of the way. Now, as you absorb the conclusion of this inspiring story of transformation and connection, don't wait even one more second to embrace your journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. You need to subscribe now. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. The power to uplift relies on you. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Show your support now.